Well, I think you would agree that Shasney is a lot taller than me, right? All right, thank you, Spider. Thank you to the community of Anse la Raye Canneries, constituents. Where are you today? Let's hear you. Where are you, Anse la Raye Massive? That's how we bring it down. Now, there's a lot to say tonight. And I'll go straight into business because we have a lot to discuss. The future of our country is at risk. And I'll tell you why. The very first interview I saw from the Prime Minister, a reporter asked him, Mr. Prime Minister, what are you going to do about the COVID problem that we have in our country? The Prime Minister declared, we are waiting on the science. The country then continued with a crime problem. Said, Mr. Prime Minister, what are you going to do about the crime problem? The Prime Minister said, well, I am not a police. My father is the police officer. He said, Mr. Prime Minister, we have a cost of living problem in St. Lucia. Things are sky high. People are feeling the pinch. The Prime Minister said, well, let's eat more green figs. Watch what you eat and eat what you watch. And you tell me this is not a joker running our country? Oh my God. So, Mamai Flabo, we came from having one of the best prime ministers in the Caribbean to now having the worst prime minister in the entire Caribbean. That is the point that I'm making here this evening. And so I was extremely proud. When I went to tourism meetings, I served as the chair of the CTO, and I moved around the Caribbean to deal with how we were going to recover from COVID. The OECS leaders appointed Alan Shasney as the head of the recovery of the economy and the tourism industry within the entire Eastern Caribbean. And now we have a man telling us that he has no answers to the problems that we face in our country. This is what we have regressed to. This is how bad things have become in our country. There is a big leadership deficit in our country right now. That's why crime is sky high. That's why the economy is in such shambles. That's why they have no solution to deal with the many problems that are afflicting you, my brothers and sisters. That's why the hospital has no medication. That's why you go to the blood bank and there's no bag to put the blood. That's why bus fares are up. That's why the prices of food in the supermarket are sky high. That's why the price of electricity has gone up 30%. That's why the price of cooking gas has gone up more than it has ever been in the history of this country. How is it that a minister of finance can tell the people of this country that he can do nothing about the inflation problem which is afflicting the country? My simple solution and recommendation to you, Mr. Prime Minister, is that if you don't have many answers to the problems that we face, then you need to resign from office and let's have a by-election and let's have a man with a vision who can deal with our problems to help us get through these difficult times. And so, Philip J. Pierre is very, very vengeful of the former MP from Soufrière. I remember we were in Parliament and Herod spoke for 45 minutes and he said to the then leader of the opposition that if you have done such a poor job at the management of your constituency, then how can we trust you You go through Marcia and you see it is one of the most depressed, impoverished areas of St. Lucia. But Philip J. Pierce said that he was a 5-star general. It meant that he represented the constituency for 5 consecutive terms. You were the deputy prime minister. You were the minister of tourism. You were the minister of infrastructure. And yet your constituency is one of the worst constituencies that we see in St. Lucia today. And so Herod was right. Philip J. Pierre has told us a long time ago what kind of prime minister he will be. The sum total of his economic plan is that $5 can block a hole. Philip plays $5 politics. And he has no plan and came to government without any plan to deal with the social and economic challenges confronting you. Now I must come home to our beloved parliamentary representative, Mr. Gerard. Now if you notice, I have said nothing about Wayne Gerard in the last 2 years. Because I believe that we must be fair and we must give everybody a chance. He won the seat, fine. In fact, I saw him at the joint sitting and I congratulated him and I said, hope you do well by the people of Anse la Raye Canneries. But what has happened in the last 2 years is a total disgrace, and Wayne Gerard has shown us that he is the worst rep the constituency of Anse la Raye Canneries has ever had in its history. People have a funeral, you don't show up. There are people in the constituency that say that they have never seen Wayne Gerard. They don't know who Wayne Gerard is. He has not made the time to go to their homes, to find out what their problems are, to find out what their challenges are. You have people who need help in this very difficult time with the school books. And there is an absentee representative. My recommendation to you that if you do not have the time, then you too should resign from the job and cause a by-election to happen in Anse la Raye so that the people can elect a representative that they really want. So Mr. Gerard, you are worse than Dr. Long. Who was the worst before you? The Labour Party has used this constituency for too long to win the seat, and whenever the people of Anse la Raye would give the Labour Party an opportunity, then they turn their backs while they're in government. I'm saying to you, Mamai Flabo, enough is enough. We must send a clear message to Gerard and company that we are not pleased with what has happened in our constituency. It's been 2 years now. 2 years, and Wayne Gerard and the Labour Party, all they have done in this constituency is the STEP program. All they have done is STEP. And if I lie, please call me a liar. All they have done is STEP. We left this constituency with a master plan for economic development through the village tourism program and other programs which we were having. We built the mini hotel, and while the hotel was being built, the then candidate for the Labour Party, Wayne Gerard, said that we were building a brothel, that Anse la Raye had no tourists. And why were we building a hotel in Anse la Raye? Why were we building a restaurant in Anse la Raye? Why were we redoing the fish fry building? Could you imagine a man that seeks to represent the constituency rather than believing in its promise, rather than believing in its people, rather than believing in the wealth of tourism assets that abide in this constituency? Wayne Gerard said that the mini hotel was going to become a brothel within the community of Anse la Raye. Now this is the kind of representation that I'm talking about. A guy who came to government without a plan Up to now, he has not sat in a forum like this and say that in 5 years, these are how many jobs I would like to create. These are how many roads I would like to build. These are how many scholarships I would like to give. These are how many houses I would like to build. Up to now, he has not come and level with the people. But tonight, I have come with news for Wayne Gerard and the St. Lucia Labour Party administration. I have come to tell them that the honeymoon is over and the fight begins from tonight. We will take the fight on. We will keep you honest. You have failed the people of the constituency. And so we have seen that coming from a place where our government had a plan for Anse la Raye, we came and we said, no longer can we just rely on the STEP program to develop Anse la Raye. We established the mini hotel, 99% built. And Wayne Gerard and Richard Frederick came in a town hall and said the reason why the hotel is not open is because there's no sewage system. Could you believe such madness? Do you believe that the DCA would actually go out there and approve an entire project without a sewage system? But I want to turn that around and say to the people of Anse la Raye that the absolute truth is that there are monies that were left, that were made available by the then Minister of Finance and Prime Minister Alan Chasney, who then believed in what we were trying to do. Every single cabinet he would say, Dominic, how is the waterfront project coming? That is the kind of prime minister that you had in Anse la Raye. How is the waterfront project? How is the restaurant coming? How is the fish fry building coming? We completed the fish fry building and it took the Labour Party 18 months just to put electricity on the building. And if it wasn't for CC who went on Facebook, they would never open the fish fry building. And the vendors in Anse la Raye would not have a place to sell during the cruise ship season. That's the kind of blind leadership that we have in this constituency. We left them roads that were already financed. And so I watched that after they said that the government, that people don't eat roads. I watched Gerard, somebody wrote a speech for him and he read the speech on television and he said, oh, roads connect farmers to market. It connects people to their homes. And you know what he was referring to? He was referring to a project designed and financed by the United Workers' Party administration to bring the road from Vanna all the way through Venus, all the way to Anse la Raye. A road that has been closed since Hurricane Thomas. And that's the kind of representation. The road from Techime to connect to Venus, that road was commenced under the UWP. And what have they done? They pulled the contractor off the project, and right now we have an incomplete road to take the people from Techime to the Venus Road. So you must complete that main thoroughfare for the people of Techime that have contributed significantly towards the advancement of this constituency. The Roseau Valley, the bread basket of the constituency, thriving with bananas in its heyday. The Roseau Valley represented 35% of banana exports from St. Lucia when we had Green Gold. Today, you drive through the Roseau Valley and you see farms abandoned. You see farmers that are struggling for help. You see farmers that are looking for direction. For the first time in history, this administration has caused St. Lucia to not have any banana export to the United Kingdom. That is their history. They have decimated an industry that was built on the backs of farmers, that was built on the backs of the government of the UWP. They have totally squandered the industry. And so that's the kind of leadership we have now. Excuses, excuses for every problem that confronts us. No solution to the many problems that are afflicting Anse la Raye Canneries and St. Lucia. And so we need to move from a guy who doesn't care, a guy who I'm told his office is in Rodney Bay Marina, that when you want to see Gerard, you need to go find him at Rodney Bay Marina. And then Philip J. Pearce says that Gerard is in his office reading reports? Really? Is that why we voted for Wayne Gerard? So that he can read reports in the Prime Minister's office? You know, I served under a Prime Minister as well. And when I said to him, PM, please excuse me, there's a funeral that I must attend. It could be cabinet. It could be an investor. He said, Dominic, go and look after your people. That is the difference in leadership which we have. That is the man. That is the difference in the approach that we have today. And so it's very sad to see that all of our hard work is now going up in flames. I drove past the Vanna field, and for the first time I said, look, we're going to take our time and do the millet field properly, because millet has produced some of the best cricketers in this country. I mean, from Johnson Charles to Aline Donovan, a whole host of cricketers that they have produced for St. Lucia and indeed the West Indies. And I thought that it was a shame that a community that has produced some of our best sportsmen had one of the worst playing fields in our country. And so with the help of the Minister of Finance, who understood where we wanted to take the constituency, to instill pride in you, the people of Anse la Raye, to show you that not because you are in a rural community, it meant that Castries or Soufrière had to have a better playing field than you, but you can have a playing field all over your constituency that was among the best in St. Lucia. That's what we were trying to do. And so I got the most amount of support to ensure that we rebuild the Vanna playing field. You pass by the Vanna playing field and you think that you are passing in the Amazon jungle, because the forest is so tall, the bush has overgrown, and Wayne Gerard and the St. Lucia Labour Party has abandoned the constituency, has abandoned the sportsmen in this country, and we must say to him now, enough is enough. And so when we had a program, we established a program called the Village Tourism Program. And I was very, very happy that the then Prime Minister, Alan Chasney, said, look, Anse la Raye needs an opportunity. And he said, Minister, you should ensure that one of the three constituencies that we're going to start with, one was Grosley, where Honorable Leonard Montoute served, and the other one was Soufrière, and the other one was Anse la Raye. And we said then that, look, we are going to go to these communities and start the development of local villages to turn into local tourism destinations. We did the hotel in Anse la Raye. We did the restaurant in Anse la Raye. We did the fish fry building. We did a drain around the field. Phase one of the drain, to make sure that we had an enabling environment so that when tourists come to the constituency, that it was clean, it was attractive. We then helped to paint up some of the houses to ensure that the general look of the main street was colorful, was vibrant, was bright. We had a mooring program so that yachts can come into the bay, and the yachts will sail up and have lunch at the restaurant, spend the day in the village, and then leave to the next town. We had the health center, a very important component of the overall development of the constituency. Do you know that after we built the health center, after everything was completely built, all they had to do was to put the equipment, which we bought, that they did not invite us to cut the ribbon for the health center, and they went and lied and boasted that they built the health center. Could you imagine the audacity of these people? Could you imagine the extent to which they will lie just to say politically that they have won? And everything with Labour is about politics and less about you. The Prime Minister has said the phrase protecting the victory more times since being elected than he has said protect you, the people of St. Lucia, from crime. That is a fact. Every opportunity he gets a chance to go on television, he's protecting the victory. And so what we have seen is a total abandonment of the constituency. We see 2 years later, they are building the Canaries Market, a project that we work with the Canaries Village Council to design. We had a beach park because at that time we had a massive problem with cruise ship tourists coming from St. Lucia, coming from Soufrière. The beaches at Jalousie and the beaches at Sugar Beach were overcrowded by catamarans. And they wanted other beaches so that the catamarans in the high cruise season would go, and that spillover would help us to better manage the situation. And what we did was to say that Canaries was so close by, it had some of the best coves, it had some of the best snorkeling experiences. And so we were working, we got the monies from the CARICOM Development Fund, and we were about to develop the Canaries Beach Park so that we can have vendors, so that we can have small business people benefiting from the $1.2 billion that tourism brings to the country on an annual basis. These are the plans that we were making happen. The Jack Mill playing field, the lights, the project have been abandoned by the SLP administration. The project, I heard, has been taken to Marigot, where they are going to be putting up lights in the now Minister of Tourism constituency. The complete decimation of the leadership, the Durando Community Center over in Millet, where when we came in, this project was there for about 11 years. Closed, no roof, no doors, no windows, no toilets. And it was abandoned. I remember when I became the rep to have a meeting in Millet, we required putting up some tents, and we got rained out on the Millet multi-purpose facility. And what we did was we said, look, we couldn't be a government and not have a community with a community center. I went to the then Prime Minister and the Minister for Finance, and I said, Chief, I have a health center. I am over budget with my Taiwanese funds. Can you spare me some more money so that we can inject into this center so that we can build something to give the people some pride? And in true Alan Chasney fashion, he said to me, no problem, how much do you want? And today, the Durando Community Center is one of the best community centers we have in the community. So they haven't just failed Anse la Raye, they have failed all of St. Lucia. We had 200 young people that did training with Monroe College. And for the first time we see that Monroe College came to the community and did training under the NAPS program. And all of them, most of them are now working with the cruise industry. We did job fairs with Royalton when they opened. And just from the village of Anse la Raye, we had over 75 young people that were employed with the Royalton Hotel in a sustainable economic drive to make sure that we bring opportunities to the young people of this constituency. And so by doing that, we saw that there was a real impact within the tourism industry. When we had the Ark, Anse la Raye was involved. I see the Ark came back. No Anse la Raye Ark on the Wayne Girard and the Labour Party. We had jazz. Anse la Raye Jazz was involved. Now that Labour and Wayne is there, no inclusion of Anse la Raye in none of the community jazz festivals. They have totally abandoned this constituency. They have neglected it for 40 years, and they continue to neglect you, the people of Anse la Raye. It's time we vote them out. It's time we fight them down. It's time we say to them, look, we are not going to take this lying down anymore. And then the biggest joke is that after Philip said that he didn't know what to do with the 2.5% tax, or he didn't know what to do with inflation that has caused bus fares and gas and cooking gas and everything to go up, that he gave us this 2.5% tax, that he gave us this tax masquerading as a health and security levy. But when we check what is allocated in the budget, we see no trace of the monies that this tax will raise towards the advancement of the health and security sector. But I have one news for the Prime Minister, that you can raise as much money as you want, but as long as you fail to do an investigation on the new police commissioner or the acting police commissioner, your health and security levy will not by itself solve the crime problem. As long as female police officers are not confident to go to work under the leadership that you have instilled, as long as you cannot give the public the assurance that you have investigated the police commissioner, and so that he can clear his name, there will be no confidence in the police commissioner. As long as you continue to cover up and protect this individual from the justice of this country, you will not solve the crime situation in the country. And so therefore, Philip J. Peer and the Labour Party continues to fail us on every given thing. And he has told us that when it comes to tourism, that he didn't know how well the tourism sector was, how important it was to the economy. And so the SLP has totally mismanaged our lead economic sector. They have mismanaged the flights into St. Lucia. And so what we have seen is that when we had American Airlines coming from Chicago, we had American Airlines from Dallas, we had American Airlines from JFK, we had JetBlue from Newark, we had a second Miami flight. All of these flights that the United Workers' Party has left for the Labour Party has completely disappeared. Completely. Ernest Hilaire and Philip J. Peer managing the tourism industry is the blind leading the blind. None of them have a clue on what to do in our lead sector. And so you can have the biggest jazz festival, you can have the biggest carnival. If people cannot get to St. Lucia, then you have failed and you will not get the desired results within the tourism industry. We see now that everywhere in the Caribbean, they've announced flights to Barbados, they've announced flights to Aruba. Jamaica has just gotten flights. St. Lucia, zero. This is the first time in a long time that I have seen in our cruise ship sector that zero cruise ship passengers, zero cruise ships within the low season of the cruise ship industry. This is the first time I have seen vendors no business for 6 months, taxi drivers no business for 6 months, hotel employees on rotation. Those who are not on rotation are laid off because of hotels that are under construction. And so what this represents is a complete chaos within the economic structure of the country. People are suffering. People cannot afford the 2.5% tax which the Labour Party administration has instituted within our country. And this is the absolute truth. And that's why we are fighting in the opposition. That's why we are going around the country, making sure that we mobilize you, the people of Anse la Raye, making sure that we mobilize Babino, mobilize Dennery North, mobilize other areas, so that what we will do in the end is to sufficiently mobilize you so that you can join the fight, join the movement, join the campaign. Tell a neighbor that this government has failed. Tell your friends that something exciting is happening within the opposition. Tell them that the United Workers' Party is rebuilding surely and strongly. And come next election, come next election, come next election, the torch will shine light and bright, and the flame will be raised high. And we will be declared the next government. The first seat coming home is right here in Anse la Raye, where Wayne Gerard has failed the people of St. Lucia. Mama Flabo, thank you and good night.
Yes. You see how tall a short man can stand?